Welcome to the first ever Toyota GR Cup North America. We cannot wait to get started out here on track. It's going to be a fun day with 30 cars competing in this brand new spec series for SRO. And we can see a lot of the teams out front celebrating what is going to be an interesting new one for everybody to try to compete with. It's basically supposed to be a turnkey sort of car that you can hop into without much investment. So we have all different types. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of drivers come in and either have their first experience in this style of racing or even moving up from karts to their first racing cars, full-on racing cars here. Of course, I'm Joe Peak here with SRO North America. I'll be joined by DJ Clark momentarily. Out on the grid, you can see all of them lined up and ready to go. This is going to be important because we'll have 2 races here this weekend for this series. They will have their finishing order of this series determine their starting position for the second one. So having a good day today is going to affect tomorrow. Having a bad day today also going to affect tomorrow naturally. And as we watch them get ready, thankfully it looks like we don't have quite as much wind as what we saw yesterday out on the track. And of course here at Sonoma, protected by CrowdStrike, we've had somewhat beautiful weather from much of the afternoon and much of the weekend. We had a little bit of rain during qualifying, which definitely caught out a few by surprise, but it was nice and sunny for this series. So we get ready to take off in just a moment for our first pace laps. Expect this to be very elbows out racing for this series. As I mentioned, spec cars, so there's nobody really with any sort of advantage from their different makes. And everybody's going to have to do what they can to try and get themselves a better position on track. But they're also momentum cars. They're not very powerful. They are going to get a fair amount of speed. But you can see, or will see, that they often will have to try and nudge their way through. It's going to be almost similar to what we see with the TC style racing here in SRO. Up towards the front of the field, lots of different nationalities also represented as they take off on their first pace lap. As we mentioned, 30 different cars taking part in this event. We've seen a fair bit of rain, and you can see on our pictures heading up into turn 2 just how much of it has affected the race circuit. Very green, which we typically don't see in most images here at Sonoma Raceway, protected by CrowdStrike. But what it also has done is caused some muddy areas. A few drivers have even gotten stuck at times. Didn't damage the car, but couldn't get out of it once they were out in the wetness. So something to be concerned of. They don't have a lot of gravel traps here at this circuit. You can see some of it as well outside of turn 4. But let's go through our starting order. Tyler Gonzalez going to be starting on the pole with Spike Kohlbecker in P2. Then it's Lucas Weisenberg in P3, followed by Will Rogers in the 4th position. From there, the next row sees Kanan O'Connell in 5th, followed by Justin Piscatel coming in from other similar sports car spec series. Then we move off into the 4th row with William Sawalich in P7. Austin Dodge will be starting out on his outside in the 8th position. Drake Kemper beginning in P9, followed by Aiden Yoder, who has been quick as well in some of the other series we've been racing this weekend, but we'll see what he can do here in the Toyotas. Mark Pombo managed 11th in qualifying. Tyler Wettengel will be P12. Then you get down into row 7, and Alex Garcia starts in 13th. Harry Chung will begin from P14 today, and we're just about halfway through the field. Derek Jones in the 15th position. Tommy McCarthy as well coming in to start 16th. Paul Bocuse in P17, followed by Stephen Clemens in 18th. Then it's Bailey Monette in the 19th position. Kat Lauren in 20th. Adam Isman in the 21st, followed by Isabella Robusto. Then you've got Michael Garcia, 23rd. Mia Lovell in 24th. Tony Breidinger in the 25th position, and Farron Davis, Rubens Iglesias Jr., Lev Uretsky, and just a couple more as Amedo Kuros and Gresham Wagner at the back. Now watch out for Gresham. He is incredibly fast and probably should be a little bit higher up, but we had some issues in qualifying that sent him to the back. All lined up and ready to go for the start of our first ever Toyota GR Cup race here at Sonoma Raceway, protected by CrowdStrike. Waiting patiently for the green from the stand. It's going to be important getting position down into turns 1 and 2 here. And there is the green. We take off down into the first corner as we are led by Tyler Gonzalez. He's going to be able to stay ahead of Spike Kohlbecker. But what are we going to have at turn 2? Oh, we're going to have a big problem for the 44. Goes completely around. Looks like nobody's managed to run into that car, and I think we're going to get away with it without a full course yellow. And he does get the car rolling from what we could see, but that is not the start that the 44 was wanting in that moment. A little bit of dust kicked off of turn 3 as they exit over the crest, but it looks like we are still mean and green, although somebody off there coming off of turn 4, the number 98, unfortunately finds himself having to gather it up. Now it's down into the carousel as they weave their way through the drastic elevation change. The 31 around the outside of the 10 here today. And it looks like they're going to be able to get away with that, but some more dirt and dust being kicked up here, coming out of the carousel. Still amazing racing here at the beginning of the first ever race for the Toyota GR Cup. And down through turn 7, we're going to see some more side by side, but it looks like the 10 not going to be able to get away with it. Mark Pombo, unfortunately, being a little bit pushed back. Through the S's, we're coming up to one of the more popular places to make overtakes down into the chicane here at the end of the lap. Most of them have managed to get single file up to this point. So it looks like we are not going to be seeing many passes, at least this time, but expect them later on when things get a little bit more strung out and it's going to be one-on-one. Completing the first lap of the race, and what a first lap for this series. Gonzalez is going to continue to lead Kohlbecker with Weisenberg in that 3rd position. Will Rogers managed to hold on to 4th. So what are we going to see from here on out? 45 minutes of this that they're going to be going through. Piscatel manages to get himself into 5th position. Bocuse up to 19th from the start of this race. Garcia up to P25 as well. Up and over turn 3 once again as we watch the battle here for the 3rd position. That's Weisenberg with Will Rogers. Oh, and Weisenberg is going to go way wide and go off course as Rogers is going to be able to get to the inside into turn 6. So that'll give him a valuable position, but what can he do to try and chase down Kohlbecker and Gonzalez from here? Back onto the drag strip as they fly off the corner. You can see these cars rely so much on mechanical grip, very little in the way of aerodynamics, and they're sliding off the corner. 55 versus the 57 for the lead. A little bit of a look, but nothing doing down into the corner. Meanwhile, 3-way battle there just behind them. Austin Dodge, I think, in and amongst that. See them clip the curbs through the S's, trying to widen the track as much as they can. Like I said, momentum cars, needing all the speed that they can get at every moment, with the leaders still tied nose to tail. And DJ, this has been fascinating stuff up at the front of the field because they have basically been right on top of each other.
Yeah, they certainly have, battling it out here down into turn 11 here at this point. The 57 and the 55, Gonzalez and Kohlbecker absolutely at it, hammer and tongs here at that point. Kohlbecker a little bit farther behind, trying to catch up here at this point as they go, but they're starting to build a pretty good gap on the rest of the field.
They are indeed. That's going to be valuable to them because we've just seen Rogers try and make that move into 3rd place. In fact, yes, he is into P3 over Reisenberg and has the fastest lap of the race on top of it.
Yeah, he's able to hold on to the fastest lap of the race here at this point as they go up the hill now into turn 3. Big clobber of the curve there for Kohlbecker as they came up, breaking down into turn 4 right now, really trying to avoid that curb down to the inside there and let the car run out a little bit wide as they go, trying to see if anything can fly its way out here at this point. As now they come down into the carousel, waiting to go. Kohlbecker falling a little bit farther behind. Spike's going to have to really get on the accelerator here out of the carousel to make this work.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lose touch with Gonzalez up there, even in these early stages, because the more he starts to fall away, the more that Gonzalez is able to manage this race. So it's going to be so important to him to manage to just keep the pressure on. We even saw just briefly go in GT America where you can get mistakes as we get a nice little battle side by side between the 37 and the 5.
Yeah, that's Gresham Wagner trying to make a move there on Harry Chung a little bit farther back down in the field. Big wiggle there from behind as cars work their way up and over the hill right now as they try to make it. Contact there and the car spinning around. That's the 37, Harry Chung, hard into the barriers around the outside.
That is no doubt going to bring out a caution, a full course yellow very quickly here. I hope he is not too hurt from that one, because that was a very hard hit directly into it. And we're still seeing cars get very wide.
Yes, we are, and it looks like full course yellow. Full course yellow is being displayed there. Not entirely surprising, Joe, as that contact made coming up through turn 8. A very, very hard collision there, and Henry Chung, hopefully he is going to be okay there as the field is going to slow down and the safety car is redeployed, bunching up this entire field here once again.
All right, so everybody packs it up now, and this gives them a chance to have a little bit of a breather. That was very frantic out there at the start, which we kind of expected, DJ. The drivers having lots to do, so many people around them to try to manage. And I'd say they did pretty well. We even had a spin coming up through turn 1 into turn 2, and yet we stayed green after that. So kudos to everybody involved, all different skill levels out there, and yet we made it pretty far in before we saw our first yellow.
Yeah, certainly we did. Obviously, you hate to see a yellow come out here to break up some of the action, but medical crews down on site right now, as well as the cars to get everything. As we take a look back at the replay there, and you can see up at the front, Tyler Gonzalez just absolutely moving that car into the lead there, doing exactly what he needed to do. Lucas Weisenberg losing that position. There's that spin that you referenced there, the number 44 getting spun right around, backing up for VGRT and getting everything back together. Then this is the move here for Lucas Weisenberg, just overshooting a little bit down into turn 4, kicking up a little bit of grass, and that is what allowed for Will Rogers to be able to get this fantastic move going up and down the corner there.
Yeah, it's all about minimizing those mistakes. That 44, by the way, that was Derek Jones for the PJM VGRT Toyota GR86 team that unfortunately found himself turned around. Can we give some credit to Gresham Wagner? I mentioned at the start that he was from the back of the field and had a lot of speed in that tech sport machine. He's up to 16th from the very end, so I'm massively impressed.
Well, Joe, I think we've got an early candidate for our e-boost hard charger of the race already there. Gresham Wagner doing a great job to be able to get his way forward as the field works their way around right now through the S's behind the safety car as they go. Gonzalez leading from Kohlbecker, Will Rogers, and Lucas Weisenberg. And I'm going to be interested when this race restarts here at this point, Joe, to see exactly what can happen, because we know Rogers and Weisenberg have got some good speed underneath the cars there, but I think they were put back a little bit by battling with each other, and when they try to push themselves up ahead here, now that everything gets started and they're going to be bunched up with everyone else, I think we could see a situation where they're able to be in prime position to maybe take the fight here to Kohlbecker and to Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. This is honestly ideal for those two who seem to have good speed, and having them basically backed up again. But there's that old adage, cautions breed cautions. So are we going to be able to get away with this a second time? I mean, we did have a problem with the 44. I think we also have a drive-through penalty for the 71 for an improper start procedure. That is Paul Bocuse.
Yeah, it looks like there he has been issued a drive-through penalty by race control. We haven't gotten a replay necessarily what that is for him, but he will have to serve that drive-through penalty. he will have to serve that drive-through penalty here under green flag conditions, so he will lose a lot of time falling back down through the order here for him. The rest of the field just continues to circulate here at this point. And Joe, as we've talked about, so exciting here to be a part of this series, as this is the first race, and the Toyota GR Cup going to be with us throughout the rest of the season. Very, very excited to be welcoming them into the SRO paddock, and this is really and truly going to be a great proving ground for a lot of drivers to be able to try to work their way up the SRO ladder, starting here in a spec series with all similar machinery. Is there great news? We do get a good look at the driver there involved in that incident. Harry Chung going to be able to be okay. He is walking under his own power, getting out of the car. So great to see that after a very hefty impact.
Yeah, I saw even a small fire kind of erupt just after it hit there, but I think they got that put out pretty quickly, thankfully. But Toyota did a lot of work on these things to get them race ready, and clearly they did a good job that he could walk away from that. We're going to watch a replay of it. This just is going to happen when you try to go too wide through here, and that little bit of a touch, it was a massive impact. And there's what I was talking about, where some of the fluid probably came out because that was just straight into concrete.
That was a really, really wicked lick there for that car, and that was the side-by-side impact there with Gresham Wagner, who we just mentioned. And it does look like here that Wagner is going to be able to continue on there. Just some side damage to that car. Shouldn't be too massive there for him, but Gresham obviously with a lot of aggression trying to move his way up forward, trying to get his way through the field, starting in the back, and just some unfortunate side-by-side racing there.
Yeah, that's going to happen, but I have to say, I think other than what we saw there, it's been a really awesome start to this series, and clearly we have a lot of hungry drivers. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of don't want to say sketchy moves, but you know, the aggression is going to come out, and we're going to see some drivers that maybe try some things that won't go well in the end, but. There's one thing in racing that you have to remember. It's probably going to make a better impression if you try to go for it and it fails than if you never tried at all. Yeah, exactly. You just got to figure out where those areas are, though, to make sure where you want to do it. And I think for Gresham, he had a little bit of an open door there coming around turn 8, and the track obviously just narrows up there a little bit, and you've got two drivers that both fighting for the same position. But as we focus back onto the racing here at hand, those top 5 continue to work their way around. Just Piscatelli, who we haven't really mentioned all that much, in P5 right now in that bright orange machine. Very, very easy to spot, as are really all of the liveries up and down through this field. It is a very, very beautiful, multicolored field. Makes our lives as commentators pretty easy, because all these cars are very easily recognizable. Oh, I love all the different paint schemes that they've got for this series. That you can see the 76, definitely hard to miss. That car was having trouble there in the testing that we saw before we came to the actual practice. I was parked up down watching Stephen Clemens during the test sessions in turn 11, and kept constantly getting on that throttle. So they do have enough power that you can get them sideways off of the slower corners, so you can't be too egregious with it. But it looked like he was having fun. Now, I think things have gotten a little bit worse for Gresham Wagner, on top of having that penalty being put at the back of the field for the start. The incident between himself and Harry Chung, I didn't realize that was Wagner that made that contact. It's under review. Yeah, it's under review by the stewards, and I've got to say there, we'll have to see what it is. We'll keep you abreast of what the decision is by the stewards, but a little bit of aggressive racing there. We'll have to see what the stewards decide to do. We're going to take another look here at the contact that put him down in the order to begin with. They're rubbing doors a little bit with the Tech Sport driver coming up through turn 8. There it is. Joe, how do you see that one? If I'm honest, the initial moment as they went side by side off the corner, I think the 37 had to give him more room. He was kind of pushing Gresham completely off the track. You can see the smoke, the tires rubbing against each other, and Gresham was all the way into the grass at that moment. He merited some space because he was fully nose to nose with him. and then from there, tangling. I don't know if I mean, especially since the 37 wound up off and into the barriers, I don't think it merits a penalty for him, because it was basically hard racing, and especially because the incident came down to what you could call a racing incident, since they just kind of banged wheels.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what race control ends up deciding to do there. As we said, we will keep you abreast of that situation for the tech sport driver of Gresham Wagner. We're going to take another look at it here. So that's Gresham going around the outside there, gives him plenty of space, gives Harry Chung there. That's going to be the 37 down to the inside. Gresham giving absolutely plenty of space. Comes down there through it.
See, he should have been given space there, and that's kind of what started it all off. And you can tangle. I think that's maybe what happened there. I don't think that was intentional. Now that is curious, because looking at that a second time, he did kind of do the same thing right back, and he started to run out of space. That might wind up meriting something. They could have gotten hooked together, unfortunately. Even in these fendered cars, they're not like open wheelers where you can tangle so much easier, but sometimes parts can rub. I mentioned you could see the smoke from the tires coming together. That can affect how they drive. You can actually bang the wheel out of the driver's hand as well, and that can cause them to accidentally veer into you. There's so many factors. I suspect they're probably going to want to talk to them after the race to find out what went on.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call to make. I do have some good reporting from the track itself, though, as it looks like the safety vehicles are clearing out, and we should get ready to go back to green flag racing here in a short amount of time. The lights are still on the GR86 safety car here at this point, so waiting here for the moment of no return when those lights will have to go off, but the safety vehicles have been cleared off of the track, and it looks like because that was one of the reasons that was such a violent looking impact was because it was with the concrete barriers around the track, that they are able to get that all cleared, and there's no damage on it. As there we go, lights are out on the safety car, and we will be back to green flag racing next time by.
This is what we want to see. This does eat into their racing time. Like I said before, this is going to make everybody a lot more aggressive, unfortunately. So we could go right back to yellow. Let's hope not. Let's hope that they can keep it clean. But with less time to try to push your way forward, especially if you're out of position like someone like Gresham Wagner, you're going to have to just go double time now, because this was, gosh, we lost, what, about 15 minutes from this or something?
I think we lost about 10 minutes from it, yeah. I mean, it was a pretty large chunk of time that we did end up losing there. But right now, Tyler Gonzalez doing a little bit of weaving back and forth coming out of turn 8A right now, making sure those tires are up the optimal temperature. Spike Kohlbecker not doing as much weaving there behind, but Will Rogers and Lucas Weisenberg certainly making sure that their tires are up to temp. Justin Piscatelli behind as well, waiting in line here as they get ready to go, and they're going to bring their way into the VP acceleration zone, which will be a little bit earlier than it was before. That VP acceleration zone for a restart, you are able to get going about halfway through turn 11 as Tyler Gonzalez brings the field down into that final hairpin, getting ready to get on the loud pedal here as there they go out of the final corner, looking to the flag stand here. A little bit of a checkup, maybe a little bit of contact there between Rogers and Kohlbecker, and that's going to be Lucas Weisenberg trying to poke his nose to the outside, waiting. There goes the green. We are back racing once again. It's a big stack up, and that is the number 10 for VGRT making moves up to the outside. My goodness gracious.
It looked like a stock car restart on ovals with everybody almost pushing each other through the turn as the 46 and the 10 of Weisenberg and Pombo going to go side by side. And I think Pombo's going to get a big jump up there.
Yeah, that's going to put Pombo into about 4th position here after that restart. Absolutely incredible stuff. Piscatelli now trying to fight it out a little bit there with, I think that's Kanan O'Connell. They're going to be side by side coming down into the corner here as the 98's going to try to hold it out a little bit more. That's not going to play itself out. Now it's going to be 3 wide farther back down to the field.
Yeah, the 76, the 30, and the 31 here going to have to sort it out, because they're certainly not going to be able to go 3 wide down through the carousel. You can see them get light over that crest.
Yeah, very, very much so, as now they work their way onto the drag strip right now. A single file line starting to form as they come out. Looks like the 76 they're going to try to be able to hold on. Stephen Clements trying to be able to get around as we check back in on the front of the field. A little bit of a slide there for Tyler Gonzalez. Gonzalez, a big slide in the back there for Lucas Weisenberg. Still side by side in that mid pack, as that's the number 80 trying to be able to make some moves there. That's Tyler Wettingel trying to see what he is able to do, as now they work their way into the S's in the field. I think smartly learning from that incident that we saw earlier, gets into single file order.
Yes, it is cool out, but you can still overcook these tires. We're seeing that for Weisenberg, who's been slipping and sliding all over the place. And in fact, we got a challenge there coming down into the chicane. Almost 3 wide again. This could go poorly, but I think they're going to be able to make it through with the 5 of Gresham Wagner managing to come out ahead.
Yeah, Gresham just continuing that aggression here at this point, trying to move his way up through the field as much as possible, as now they dive down into the hairpin here for the final lap. We'll take a look there at the number 28 machine of Justin Piscatelli side by side farther up in the field. That is going to be Lucas Weisenberg and Mark Pombo trying to see what they are able to get going. Mark Pombo trying to be very, very aggressive there. He's going to be down to the inside of turn 1 as they flick their way up the hill.
Side by side turn to another spot where it's hard to carry that on. We'll see if they can get out of it. And the 46 has the inside. Is he going to feed him out? Yes, he is. Looks like the 10 of Pombo just can't find the grip on the dirt. Now he's under threat.
Yeah, Kanan O'Connell there behind trying to take a look going up into turn 3. That's not going to play itself out, and the VGRT driver's going to have to fall back a little bit more as they get into the braking zone here for turn 4. Going down the hill as they run. No moves there, but all of this scrapping is really allowed for Gonzalez, Kohlbecker, and Rogers to scamper on up the road, and they are going to be in a position where they're going to be in their own field at this point.
Remember I mentioned Piscatel has run in other spec sports car series before, especially very similar to these in pace. Well, he's up to this 7th position and definitely still threatening.
Yeah, definitely still threatening here at this point, down into the braking zone for turn number 7. Looks like Weisenberg let that drift a little bit wide, but he's going to be able to hold it together. Pombo doing a great job of, again, off of that restart. Absolutely incredible stuff to be able to jump his way up through the field and put him in prime position to now be challenging onto the back of Lucas Weisenberg as they go through the S's. And here they come down into the braking zone. I'm not seeing any movement there quite yet. Looks like there may be a little bit of a jump from behind coming down into turn 9. There you can see the front of the field. Ooh, little bit of a wide run there for Weisenberg, as that's going to be him dipping a tire off into the grass. It didn't look like it cost him that much, though.
No, looks like he's going to be able to get away with it. Still a lot of dipping and diving there in the back. Oh, now coming into the hairpin, and the 98 is going to give it a go.
Yeah, that's Kanan O'Connell really pushing down to the inside of Mark Pombo. Pombo maybe a little bit out of position courtesy of that lightning restart, as they're now going to be almost side by side as they cross over the stripe. Pombo is going to be able to hold on to the position, but Kanan O'Connell certainly making his presence known here at this point, as now they fly up the hill. O'Connell closing in, both cars very, very sideways as they came up and over turn 2, holding it together though, and it looks like they're going to maintain in single file order running forward.
I love how much we're seeing these cars really slide. Look at how they have to lean them into the corners. You have to ring these things to get the most out of them up at the sharp end of the field. But Pombo is impressing me, except now he goes a little bit wide, and just as I say that, commentator's curse rears its ugly head, and he's going to try and chop him off into 5.
Tries to chop him off there, but that's not going to play itself out. Pombo is going to be able to hold onto the position for now, a little bit squirrely under the braking zone there as they go down into the carousel. Working their way onto the drag strip right now. Also looking behind Justin Piscatelli under a little bit of threat here from Aiden Yoder as they climb up the hill and into turn 7, trying to see what they are going to be able to do. Yoder trying to take a look to the inside, as is Kanan O'Connell going down into the braking zone, but they're moving their way forward. That's going to be the 31 of Boston Dodge. We've got a couple of cars off. That's the 24 and the 30.
Oh, so Garcia and Sawalich, unfortunately, off into the paved runoff outside of turn 7. Cars are still rolling, so it didn't seem like they had a hard enough hit that they should be out of it. Not sure what they were waiting for.
Yeah, I think they maybe just trying to gather themselves up a little bit more as they brought themselves back up to speed, and we check back in on that second pack battle right now. It does look like Weisenberg has been able to stretch his advantage a little bit over Mark Pombo at this point, but Kanan O'Connell continuing to threaten behind Justin Piscatelli, Aiden Yoder in that line, Trey Kemper, Austin Dodge as they run. Going down into the braking zone here for turn 11. Piscatelli trying to look a little bit of a wider line there. Same with Aiden Yoder and Trey Kemper. Everybody taking a little bit of a wider line. Let's check back in on the front of the field here. Tyler Gonzalez holding on to a lead of about 6.5 tenths of a second over Spike Kohlbecker.
Kohlbecker still has that fastest lap bonus though, so He's clearly got something in it. It's just right now he's kind of sitting and waiting patiently. Still 21 minutes left to go, so there's a lot of time. He doesn't have to rush right back up on him. And he's not going to waste the tires by being right on top of another. So at this point, I would say maybe needs to try and put some more pressure on, try to get right up behind him, see if he can elicit a mistake. And then we've got the number 6 of Rogers behind him. Now that he's gotten into this 3rd position, we wondered whether he could hang. The answer is kind of no. He's not far away, but he also needs to maybe rush a little bit farther forwards in that Godwin Motorsports Toyota.
Yeah, he's about 1.6 seconds behind here at this point, and I think that's a little bit far back to sort of be waiting your time to be able to move on up ahead. Ooh, car off there into the grass on the exit of the carousel. I believe that may have been the VGRT entry there of Kenan O'Connell, who looks like he may have been able to get by the number, no, excuse me, it was Pombo that went wide. And those 2 cars, the 24 and the 30 that we mentioned earlier, they are still parked to the outside, and we've got another safety car that appears to be thrown. Safety car out on track for those 2 cars that are out to the outside of turn 7.
That's a bit of an unusual one. Again, they didn't seem to hit that hard. So I'm unsure as to what stopped them. I also have some really unfortunate information for fans of Gresham Wagner. All that hard work is going to be undone by a 60-second stop and hold for incident responsibility. So the stewards took a dim view of that one.
Yeah, the stewards not necessarily liking that there, as we will be back under our 2nd safety car period for today, as they will bring around it. And like we saw earlier with the number 71, that penalty there for Gresham Wagner will have to be served under green flag conditions. He will not be able to serve it under yellow, so that is going to be an incredibly detrimental penalty. Let's take a look here at what we saw coming down into the corner, the contact that sent these cars spinning out into the outside. There's a little bit of side-by-side. Oh, that was just a big, big dive there by the 30 down to the inside of the 24.
That little touch in front of them overshadowed, unfortunately, by these 2. And that's going to send them out to the outside. So thankfully, it looks like they can just roll these things out. Now, the 30 is going to be able to back it up under his own power.
Yeah, and it looks like they're taking a closer look at the car. There's some pretty hefty damage to the inside, to the left front of that number 30 machine. So that could be a little bit of a problem there for them, and that may be the reason why that they had come to a complete stop, was because of that damage on the car, and they may felt it was creating a little bit of a tire rub or something of that nature. That may be why that they came to a stop. But, Joe, what this is going to do now for the rest of the race is, with 18 minutes and about 30 seconds left to go, what this is going to do is this is going to set up an absolute sprint to the finish. And it's probably going to change the calculus here of a few drivers as they try to get themselves forward. I think we talked a little bit about coming out of the previous safety car that everybody's going to be pushing as hard as they can. I think they're going to be pushing all the harder here now that we're probably going to get restarted with, I'd say, under 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be just all out there to try and do what they can. Hopefully this should be a quicker cleanup than what we saw before, especially if cars can kind of get out of there under their own power and get rolling. If hopefully I'm not interrupted by luck going the wrong way there for Pombo again, but we're under yellow, so I feel pretty safe. I want to say I was impressed by him because he seems really aggressive on the starts and restarts, so this might play into his hands. He's starting from 5th place here, and last time he almost managed, I think, to work his way up to the 3rd or 2nd briefly. But we'll see if he can maybe try that again, because he seems to be pretty fearless compared to some of the others and knows how to make moves. That's really a skill that you have to learn, especially in this style of racing, which is so close, to try and know where to place your car, where you can be aggressive and get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there, especially off of that restart, Pombo just recognized the opportunity to be able to go, recognized how to put himself into position, and absolutely capitalized on it. To take a look down at the far end of the circuit, it does look like the safety crews are starting to get their cleanup done and out of the way. We're going to stay under safety car here at least for another lap. Tyler Gonzalez continues to lead from Spike Kolbecker, Will Rogers, Lucas Weisenberg, and Matt Pombo. Pombo. And, you know, Joe, one of the things that we talked a lot about coming into this this series was the difference between some of the bigger teams like VGRT that have multiple entries into the field, PJM, VJRT, that partnership there as well, and then some of the drivers like, for example, Godwin Motorsports that are a single car entry. And I kind of love it up in the top 5. We're seeing a mix of both, and it's exactly what you want to see here out of a series like this.
Yeah, what they want to do is try to make this accessible. We talked about that before. Make it a really turnkey effort that anybody can try and come in and see how they race. And yes, you're going to get some multi-car teams, but they're still, those are still grassroots teams that you can see. Yes, they've got a lot of people, but they've built up, and they're honestly giving a lot of younger drivers a chance to get their foot in the door, see what they can do, and cut their teeth on these cars. Maybe see if they can get into some of the other series that we have here in SRO. But yeah, right now Copeland Motorsports, they have a couple cars out there leading this race. Tech Sport Racing with Kohlbecker there in second. Godwin Motorsports, I think that's a single car entry for that. Lucas Racing for Lucas Weisenberg. Pombo there in 5th for PJM VGRT. They've got 2 back-to-back with Kanan O'Connell. Those 2 have been going back and forth. That's always difficult racing against your own teammate because you know each other so well.
Yeah, exactly. You know each other's driving standards. You know how everything plays itself out, and so that'll certainly change the impetus and change how you kind of approach it here a little bit as they go. But as I take a look down at the rest of the field here right now, a lot of weaving going in back and forth as everybody gets themselves ready to go because the lights are out on the safety car, and we are going to be going back to green flag racing at this time by, so that will be, well, we called it just about right, with about 15 minutes left to go. We will be back to green flag racing for a 15-minute sprint to the finish for the first ever Toyota GR Cup race as part of SRO Motorsports Group America, as they work their way now down out of turn 10, going down into the hairpin at the end of the circuit. The Toyota GR86 pace car pulling off down into pit lane as they bring their way forward here. Gonzalez going to bring this field around again. We saw a little bit of jostling on that last restart. We saw Matt Pombo off to a great restart. Gonzalez is going to back the field up a little bit as he waits to get into the VP acceleration zone here and keeping eyes out to the green flag. That's a massive jump there by Matt Pombo way up at the front of the field. Excuse me, that's not Matt Pombo. That's the number 98 of Kanan O'Connell as he is able to get a massive jump on the rest of the field. I think that may have even been a little bit of a jump start. We will have to check that out and hear what race control has to say, but it is 2-3 wide through the rest of the pack as they work their way up through 2.
Yeah, I'm a bit baffled by that. He just took off and kept going. Probably could have backed out of it and maybe gotten away without things, but that's got to be some sort of penalty from there. So we'll hear from race control, I have no doubt. That just does not seem to fly if the leader doesn't go and you go around the outside of 5 cars.
Yeah, but we will have to see. As you said, Kanan O'Connell currently up in the lead of the race as we look back on the rest of the field here. O'Connell working his way down through the carousel right now. The number 98 up in the lead of the field here for the moment, ahead of Tyler Gonzalez and Spike Kohlbecker as they go a little bit of side-by-side farther back down in the field here at this point. That's going to be the number 31 machine of Austin Dodge. Drake Kemper directly behind him trying to make that move. Justin Piscatelli also involved in that battle. Big clobbering of the curve going down into turn 7. A little bit too wide there farther back down in the field. That's the 99 and the 5. That's Drake Kemper and Gresham Wagner. Remember, Wagner still has to serve that penalty, and that's probably going to dump Gresham far, far down in the order, maybe even lose a lap potentially with just as long as this pit lane is.
Yeah, he hasn't served it yet. Paul Bocuse in the 71 did come down and serve his penalty, so he's fallen to the back of the field. O'Connell going to lead them around and taking a big slide coming off of the chicane. Boy, they are not afraid of using up these tires. It is a short race, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few of them use a little bit too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either, as we're going to take a look at the replay here of that start. Yeah, Joe, I've got to agree with you. That looks a little bit like a jump start to me.
Well, he gets to the line before any of them. That just seems, I don't know what he was doing in that situation.
And we are getting confirmation here from race control that the restart is under review. Restart is under review here at this point. So that is going to be coming through here at this point as they go. But right now you can see that on your screen that they are taking a look at it. But look at this. Look at the outright speed from Tyler Gonzalez. Despite that massive jump that Kanan O'Connell had on the rest of the field, Gonzalez already putting pressure to the back of the 98.
Yeah, doesn't like what he saw, I'm sure. I wonder if he's even asking questions on his radio saying, what the heck was going on there? Why am I not leading this race? And I think we're going to try and watch it. Maybe the flag was out and the rest just didn't respond. And if that's the case, then it was a clever call. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see here as we try to pull up that replay here in a moment. O'Connell continues to lead from Tyler Gonzalez as the field works their way down the straightaway. Here is that restart. Yeah, the flag is out. You can see it coming out there, but that is after O'Connell had made that move, working his way around. So Kanan O'Connell, I do believe that is going to be a penalty coming in.
Yeah, the only thing I could think that he did was he thought, well, I'm already going to get the penalty. Let's just try and get as far ahead as I can go and try to make the best of it to nullify what little I can of that penalty. But it doesn't seem to have worked out because he does not have the pace of Gonzalez. Look at him all over him now as they come down to the hairpin.
Yeah, Gonzalez really trying to put pressure to the back here of O'Connell. He's going to take a look down into the inside. Thinks better of it. Almost a little bit of contact there between the two as they work their way down through. Spike Kohlbecker just looking in that popcorn position, ready to go, trying to see what he is going to be able to do to take out of any of this. As I am also hearing that Gresham Wagner has served his penalty. He is back out and out of pit lane, just ahead of the rest of the leaders here. But Tyler Gonzalez not taking any chances whatsoever. He wants to try to make this position if possible. Spike Kohlbecker now going to be the one trying to make movement on Tyler Gonzalez here as the pressure comes in from behind.
Now this is a difficult position for Gonzalez because he doesn't have to fight the 98, but now that Kohlbecker is there and trying to take the position, he does kind of need to get a move on, and he doesn't want to be held up by the 98. But I'm sure someone's been in his ear at this point to let him know that it's under review, and it seems like a slam dunk that O'Connell's probably going to get some sort of penalty. So he doesn't technically have to fight him here. That car should go away soon.
Yeah, but the one problem is if O'Connell is slowing him down a little bit and he's feeling that pressure from Spike Kohlbecker from behind, he may want to try to get ahead and maybe put a little bit of a pick in between himself and Kohlbecker to prevent that from happening. This is one of the things that makes racing such an amazing sport, is all of that sort of micro strategy that goes into thinking about absolutely every move around here as they continue to go. By the way, Spike Kohlbecker continuing to hold on to the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, so a very, very good run there for him. We know there's plenty of speed underneath that number 55 machine, and I think he is just kind of laying in wait here at this moment, waiting to see if that penalty is going to get levied down against Kanan O'Connell and waiting to see what Tyler Gonzalez is going to do in response to that.
Still just leaning on that car every single time, but credit to O'Connell, he's taking it right out to the edge but not getting into the dirt coming out of the chicane, so he is managing it well, but he's using up the tires a ton.
Yeah, really and truly is. Gonzalez going to take a little bit of a narrower line there as O'Connell runs a little bit wide. They're going to come out of turn 11 almost side by side, coming down through turn 12 right now, the left-handed sweeper, and that's going to be Gonzalez trying to put pressure around the outside. Going to go for the sweeper move coming up through turn 1. Both cars a little bit sideways as they go, touching doors coming up the hill. I think Gonzalez backing out of it there pretty smartly, recognizing that was a one-way ticket to disaster.
That is a super fast turn 1 up through there, and the car is compressing, giving you the grip coming up through the corner, but then suddenly it goes away. And the thing is, you want to be on that right-hand side coming into turn 2, but as you see on that fast of a turn 1, it's hard to hold on around the outside. He almost threw the race away, and now Kohlbecker is back on him again.
Yes, he is. Kohlbecker, I said he was laying in wait. That's exactly what he's doing. And don't sleep on Will Rogers here as well. A little bit of contact there between Kohlbecker and Gonzalez as they came down through there. And more contact as that's Gonzalez getting very, very sideways on the exit of the carousel. But they're going to be parallel coming out onto the drag strip right now. That's going to be Kohlbecker having to go around the outside. We've seen this try to play out before. It's hard to make a move work around the outside there. And look at this. Will Rogers poking his nose in there. He's going to try to take that position away here from Kohlbecker.
Hey guys, this looks like fun. Mind if I join? Oh, and that was almost a repeat of what we saw before, the two of them coming together. out of the exit of 7. I think wisdom played a part there in the 6. He didn't want to have one of those cars wind up in the wall like we saw with the 37 earlier.
Yeah, and a big twitch there to the inside for Spike Kohlbecker, trying to hold off on that line as much as possible, but it still allowed him to get a great run off of the corner. But I'll tell you who got an even better run there. That's Will Rogers, putting pressure to the back of Kohlbecker here as they come down into turn 11. As here they go, try to see what they're able to do, as it looks like Kohlbecker's going to be able to carry a little bit more speed, maybe a little bit of a brake lock up, and we've only got about 7 minutes left to go here. 2 cars off into the gravel, or off into the grass rather, doing a little bit of lawn mowing here.
Not just lawn mowing, but picking the flowers too. That's one of the things about racing here at the springtime. You can see them all around the track, those white petals. That's going to clog it up even more than the grass. Whoa, that was a big slide from Gonzalez, but look at the screen. The 98 does get a jump restart penalty, a drive-through penalty. I don't think that'll send him to the very, very back, but pretty darn far.
Yes, it will, and so that will give the lead of the race back over to Tyler Gonzalez here at that point. And so now Spike Kohlbecker is going to know that that battle they have been having is for the lead of the race here as they go. Will Rogers trying to be able to see what he is able to do in behind, as it does look like Lucas Weisenberg has fallen off the back just a little bit. He's about 1.2 seconds behind here as they go. They work their way down the carousel right now, trying to see what that speed is going to do. Again, Gonzalez, every time he comes out of the carousel, Joe, we talked about the compression at the exit of the corner, just looking very, very slidey there as they go.
Yeah, it seems like the car is getting just a little bit loose. Like I said, these things are nimble, but you can use them up a little bit too much. You do have to really sling this car around, but it's a knife's edge. It's the fastest drivers are the ones that know just how far they can do it without using it up too much. The good news for them is that they don't have to worry as much, because we had 2 caution flags during this race that used up a lot of that time. So maybe that's why we're seeing them be so aggressive on the tires.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is they're going to be able to take a little bit more out. The other thing is we've got about 5 minutes to go. Ooh, that was a very, very hard run there for Dodge. And we've got some contact in the back. That's number 73 of Aiden Yoder, hard off into the tire barriers on the exit of turn 9.
He absolutely smashed it into there. He might be able to get out. Let's hope that he can, or else we're going to get another yellow, and I don't think we're going to be able to finish this under green if that's the case, unless they decide to do a local yellow. But I think that car might be in a little bit too dangerous of a spot to try that.
Yeah, that's a pretty high speed area of the track. You are coming out of a little bit of a lower speed corner, but at the same time, that can come back to get you. It also looks like here that we've had another drive-through penalty being issued. The incident between the 44 and the 09, and the 44 has been given a drive-through. That's Derek Jones. That was one of those incidents that we saw. I believe that was that. Let's take a look here. That is what we saw of the mowing of the grass there between the 2, the 44 and the 9, Derek Jones there in that VGRT car. They came out and around, but there again, it just looks like Tyler Gonzalez is so unstable there going down into the carousel. That car not looking like it's all that great when it does it, but it's not going to matter as of right now, because we've got another yellow flag being displayed. Safety car is out for Aiden Yoder, but the good news is Yoder actually is able to get going under his own power here at this point, so that car is going to be able to limp its way back home, but not before this yellow flag is being displayed.
So I'm kind of curious if they'll maybe be able to clean up any debris that might be out there if they need to, and then pull the safety car in and get a very, very short yellow so that we can finish under green. I'm unsure, but we'll see.
We will have to wait and see what happens here. Let's take a look at exactly what happened there. You can see what it is. That was a solo incident there from Yoder. He just climbed a little bit too much of the curbs, Joe, and got up and over it, got that car all kinds of sideways and made contact with the tire barrier.
I was trying to make out who was in front of him. It might not have been completely solo, because the car in front got a little bit squirrely as well. And sometimes what can happen is you get a little bit distracted by a car having a problem. You try to make evasive actions even if you don't need to, and then you're now part of the problem. So I wonder if maybe that kind of just caused him that issue, seeing that car trying to correct itself. And wound up worse off than the one in front and into the tires.
Yeah, very well could have been. I'm not entirely sure, as the white flag is being displayed along with the full course caution indication. So we will be finishing under yellow flag conditions here from Sonoma Raceway, protected by CrowdStrike, as we will be finishing under yellow flag conditions. A little bit disappointing as to what was a very exciting race, but I've got to say they packed in the action here in these 45 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, not the way that we wanted to see it finish, but this is a very promising start for this series, that we saw a battle for the win up at the front. We saw drama in all different forms throughout, and I think a lot of these drivers had a lot of lessons to be learned today. There's going to be some big debriefings talking about what they learned and maybe what they need to learn over the course of the season. Obviously, there's still a lot of this series left to go, so we could see things change around a lot. But the big thing to take out of this, I think, is that Gonzalez, Kohlbecker, and Rogers look like they are going to be a major force.
Yeah, I think they are as well. And let's not sleep on Lucas Weisenberg. Remember, he was pretty close there as well. Looked like he was maybe gaining in a little bit on the back of the field. I think some other names to certainly pick out of the field here. Gresham Wagner. We obviously, his race is a little bit scuppered courtesy of the incident that we saw him have and the subsequent penalty that he served. But I also think Mark Pombo, with that restart that we saw, absolutely brilliant stuff there from him. And I think the number 10 for the PJM VGRT team may be another one to watch out for. So we've got about 5 or 6 names that certainly could be working their way on forward. But nonetheless, an absolutely spectacular opening round here for the Toyota GR Cup. And it has been exactly what it has promised to be: fast, frenetic, little bit chaotic, but in the best possible way.
Oh yeah, I think this is going to be one of those crowd pleaser type series that everybody is looking forward to watching, because that's what people want in racing, is unpredictability. And you put this many cars on track that are this close on pace to one another, yeah, you're going to have unpredictability, and everybody's going to be fighting tooth and nail for every position.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody is going to be going for absolutely everything that they can, and that's exactly the kind of racing action that you really and truly want to see out on track. But right now, we are going to sing the praises here of Tyler Gonzalez, the number 57, who has done an absolutely incredible job up at the front of the field, battling his way forward, constant back and forth with Spike Kohlbecker as they ran. Really, really impressive stuff. And that number 57 machine comes through the hairpin for the final time, as they will bring the car now down through turn 12, and all eyes towards the flag stand as the checkered flag begins to fly. And you have your inaugural victor in the Toyota GR Cup. It is Tyler Gonzalez.
Kohlbecker and Rogers definitely need to be proud of themselves. They're on the podium of the very first race as well, and both of them were in the hunt for the victory. So again, you need to take the positives out of this thing, and their celebrations from the 57, knowing he didn't lead it from pole from lights to flag, but he did start it on the pole and wound up taking the win and held off immense pressure from behind to get it.
Yeah, really and truly, and I think being able to hold on to that kind of pressure is something that he can take away from, that he is doing a really, really good job to be able to do that, as they are able to keep himself going around, and they're able to keep himself into a position where he was able to hold on to that lead. And it all started in qualifying yesterday. You've got to be at one with this car. You've got to be able to push yourself forward, and that's exactly what Tyler Gonzalez did. The one problem he's going to have, though, he's going to have a target on his back, as he is going to be the points leader coming out of this first round, and everybody is going to know that Gonzalez is the driver to beat.
I talked about it earlier today during some of the qualifying that, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, as we got the CrowdStrike fastest lap for Kohlbecker. Second time today we've seen the fastest lap go to P2, so I'm sure that is going to be something that they're all fighting hard for. If this is as close as it looks like, then those bonus points could wind up making the difference. But this is all speculation. It's the first race. We don't know if anybody's going to be able to streak ahead. But based on what I'm seeing, I do have a good feeling that you can't afford any bad races over this season.
No, I don't think so. I think consistency is going to be key here for these drivers, and with as close as we've seen everybody be, I think you have got to focus in on trying to get top 5s, trying to get top 10s. In an ideal world, you want to be walking away with podiums, but sometimes that's just going to be a little bit too much to manage, and that's going to be a little bit too hard to be able to do. But really and truly, consistency is going to be the way to win this series, as it is for pretty much any racing series. As we run your way through the race 1 results, as we said, Gonzalez taking the victory ahead of Kohlbecker and Rogers, then Weisenberg and Dodge to round out your top 5. Then it was Mark Pombo, Justin Piscatel, followed by Stephen Clemens and Drake Kemper, with Tyler Wenningle rounding out your top 10, Joe.
Then in 11th, it was McCarthy, followed by Robusto, finishing ahead of Monette in P13. Isman from Canada in 14th spot, followed by Farron Davis in that RVA Graphics Motorsports number 11. You've got Garcia in the 7th spot. Bocuse is going to wind up in 17th. Lovell in the 18th position. Lauren back in 19th. Iglesias Jr. rounding out your top 20.
Yeah, 21st there was Kanan O'Connell there, obviously having that penalty to be served. Then it was Bredinger, Uretsky, Amadeo Cueros, Jones, and then we get into some of the drivers that had a little bit of a rough run out there. Gresham Wagner going from the front to the back to the front out there, and the rest of the drivers there not able to finish. But we're going to go down to Amanda, who is going to be able to talk with your inaugural victor here, Tyler Gonzalez.
Oh, and he came into the winner's circle, giving the number 1 to his guys. As you just said, he will forever be the inaugural victor in this Toyota GR Cup Series. And as he gets off his helmet, and Tyler, it wasn't necessarily an easy one, but as we just mentioned, you will forever own the maiden victory in this series. What will be the highlight of this win for you?
Just it being the first ever, you know, that's pretty special. It started off really good. I mean, Copeland Motorsports hooked me up with an amazing GR Cup car. We had the pace for sure. Every green flag lap, we were pulling away a little bit further. The yellows brought some excitement to it, especially at the end there, but I'm just glad we came out on top.
We just saw a first look of what this racing might be here this season. How would you describe it?
Fun, exciting, good, hard racing. Probably some of the best racing you'll see all weekend.
Well done, Tyler.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and thank you to Tyler. The number 1, the thumbs up given there. Absolutely incredible stuff. Tyler Gonzalez, a well-earned victory. He is going to be in on cloud 9 there, Joe.
Yeah, no doubt. That is such a boost as we're going to take a look at what all happened. The initial start, he did get a really good getaway, and we actually had a pretty clean start other than a big spin from the 44, who somehow miraculously avoided any hits.
Yeah, we were able to avoid those hits there, and then everybody was able to get back going under green flag conditions. Well, the one scary moment of the race there was the 37 of Harry Chung had a big impact there into the outside barriers. Then we saw this, the little bit of the jump start from Kanan O'Connell there to set things off, and that set the pace and the tone for the rest of the next part of the race as Tyler Gonzalez and Spike Kohlbecker tried to close in back on him. Then we saw this from 73 out into the outside barriers there, and that brought around the safety car and allowed us to finish under the checkered flag and under caution here. Tyler Gonzalez taking the victory over Spike Kohlbecker and Will Rogers. That will wrap us up here today. My name has been DJ Clark alongside Joe Peak. It has been incredible to be with you.